Day 2. Speak kindly. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Proverbs 15:1 NIV. Will you just bring me a towel already? My 3-year-old little girl was in the bath and I was ready to get her out. I had spent a long day at home taking care of 3 little ones and all my grace was running out. I was ready to finish giving my kids their baths and put them to bed so I could be off duty. I dumped one last big cup of warm, clean water down my daughter's back and squeezed the excess out of her hair. Jared, look, if you're not going to help me with bath time, the very least you can do is bring me a towel when I ask. I knew he had heard me. I had heard him open the linen cabinet. To be honest, I wasn't sure there were any clean towels in there. I was behind on laundry. I am forever behind on laundry. And I knew Jared was probably looking in our bathroom or the dryer for a clean towel after finding none where they should be. Dig through the pile on the couch. Just bring me anything. Jared, are you coming? A receiving blanket, you know those super thin baby blankets, flew into the bathroom and landed on my lap. Here, this is the best I can do. There aren't any clean towels. Of course there aren't, I thought. I don't have time to do any laundry because I am so busy doing everything else, like giving our kids their baths. If you just helped me every now and then, I might have a chance to wash a towel or two. Can you get Cadence dressed while I give Colton a bath? I asked Jared in a tone that was more demanding than questioning. Why not? I'm not doing anything else, he replied sarcastically. Truthfully, I didn't care what he had been doing before I asked him to find me a towel. Nothing was more important than helping me with our kids so we could put them to bed and be done for the day. At least, nothing was more important to me. I know this might not be a familiar scene at your house. Perhaps you've never fussed at your husband for not helping you enough. The workload is shared differently in every home. The point isn't what we were doing as much as it is what we were saying to each other and how we were saying it. Do you remember how you used to talk to your husband when you first fell in love with him? Did you make demands? Did you use a stern tone? Or did you speak kindly? My guess is that you were nice, patient. Your words reflected the attitude of your heart. I think back to the first time I had a real conversation with Jared. I used sweet words. I spoke with compassion and consideration. To be honest, I think if I had spoken to Jared on those first few dates the way I sometimes speak to him now, he would have gone running for the hills and we probably wouldn't be married. The thing is, with familiarity comes a sense that we can speak more candidly. And we can. Speaking honestly and openly is a part of the trust that we develop over time with our spouses. But honest conversation should never be confused with the permission to be disrespectful. We haven't earned the right to be rude to our husbands just because we said I do. I think sometimes we speak to our husbands in a way we wouldn't dare speak to another living soul. Our husbands deserve our respect, not just because they have earned it, and not just when we feel like giving it. Showing respect says more about the person who demonstrates it than the person who receives it. We respect our husbands not just because of who they are, but also because of who we are. And we are women who want to hold ourselves to the highest standard. And we want to be nice. I know it is possible to be married for years and maintain this level of respect toward our spouses because I have seen it firsthand. In my entire life, I have never heard my dad say one unkind word to my mom. He's never raised his voice, he's never spoken down to her, and he's never spoken to her disrespectfully. When I look at their relationship and I think about how my dad lives each day as he did in the beginning of his relationship with my mom, I'm reminded how the tone of our hearts is reflected in every interaction. Look, I know it was easier to speak kindly in the beginning when your busy life or that sweet husband of yours didn't drive you so stinking crazy, but I want you to consider your tone today. I'll start by considering mine. On the night I needed a towel, if I had spoken to my husband the way I did in the beginning of our relationship, I wouldn't have shouted, "Will you just bring me a towel already?" I might have said something like, "Hey, honey, when you get a second, will you bring me a towel? I need to get Cadence out of the bath." And the way I presented my request would have changed the rest of the conversation. I wouldn't have been frustrated, and he wouldn't have been defensive. The tone of our voices often communicates our hearts more clearly than our words ever do. And we have the power to change the nature of every interaction by speaking with a tone that conveys kindness. Today's challenge. The challenge for today might be one of the hardest of all because it affects every interaction we have with our husbands. But you can absolutely do this. You have children. You do hard things all the time. This will be a breeze. Today, whenever your husband speaks to you, no matter what his